So parenting requires a lot of planning and remembering for your kids, and a lot of that work is invisible, meaning it's work only happening in your head. They call that the mental load. My next guest says it's possible that one parent is carrying the majority of that mental load, which he says can lead to burnout and resentment within marriage. Dr. Dave Schramm is a family life professor and extension specialist at Utah State University. He joins me with ways for couples to share those invisible responsibilities more equally. It's great to meet you.
It's great to be on. Thanks, Brooke.
And we should say you also, we co-host a podcast with our dear friend Dr. Liz Hale, the Stronger Marriage Connection. So we have that connection that we already love. We love her, so we'll love you.
Liz is the best, isn't
she? She is the best. Welcome to Studio 5, Dr. Dave.
Thank you.
Let's dive into more detail here. How would you define mental load in marriage?
Yeah, it's really, when you think about it, it's not the physical tasks, but it's all of the preparing and the remembering and the scheduling in the head of all the tasks. So we're thinking, okay, not only my class parties for my kids, but I've got that Amazon package that I got to drop off. Oh, and I've got to take the dog in to get a haircut. Oh, and get his heartworm medicine. So it's all of these things that pile up over and over and over in our heads, and it literally starts to drain us.
You described it well, and it's often, I think, more heavy and demanding than a physical to-do list, because a physical to-do list, typically it's stuff I'm going to do today, but as you described, the classroom parties or that dinner next weekend, our mental load is projecting so far into the future often.
It really never ends. It's this never-ending to-do list of things I've got to do. Okay, I've got to get the tracksuit, washed so he can have that, and I've got to get his spikes, and I've got to remember to make this phone call and pay the bill and take this back. So it's this mental load that really does physically wear us down.
We're not here to point fingers, but is it fair to say that it's common in a relationship for one partner to carry more of that mental load than the other?
You know, the research is pretty clear on this.
Almost
9 out of 10 women in one study said that they feel solely responsible for overseeing and the scheduling of family activities. So the brunt of the work, it really is falling on women and mothers.
And we could talk about how that affects the individual, but I think everyone experiencing it, knowing mostly females are watching this show, I think can speak to that. Will you speak to how it affects the marriage, how it affects the partnership when it's unbalanced?
Yeah, it's really what I call a spillover effect. And so what happens is that this mental load then starts to create frustration, stress, anxiety, this burnout, and even this mommy guilt and shame for not getting everything done and worrying about it. But then, Brooke, it creates anger and resentment, some of these connection killers in a relationship. So it spills over into moms having a difficult time controlling their temper, their tongue, and their tone of voice. So it spills over into all areas of the relationship, including the marriage relationship. Because then, I'm worn out, I'm exhausted, it's nighttime, and hey, the last thing I want to do is even talk to you, let alone have any type of an intimate relationship at night because of the mental load.
Well, and to make that connection with someone who I think a lot of time women perceive, you should have, you could have, helped take that off my plate. And I said, we're not here to point fingers, and we're not, but if I were to hold up the mirror, is this something women can get a better hold of? Or maybe can we take responsibility of that before we slide into victim mode and say, if he would have helped me, or can we turn this around?
It really can. First, if it's not even on my husband or my partner's radars, then how are they supposed to do anything about it? And so I think that's really important, is to talk about it, communicate it, and say, hey, I was watching Studio 5, or I was reading this article about this, and I'm feeling really, really exhausted, and I just want to share, not in a complain way, and not in a critical way, but in a real way of what I'm experiencing, and it's really wearing me down. It's affecting me as a person and as a partner and a parent.
We often hear, and therapists and counselors like yourself will say, even here on this show, that when we give up words, we release the power they have. Is that true? Just by bringing awareness or raising awareness toward what's ticking in my brain constantly, is that going to maybe release the power that I feel like it might have on me?
Yeah, some of that is this feeling of control. Like I've got to manage everything, that this is my responsibility to manage everything. And so now if I say, maybe I can't handle all this, and so I hope women won't feel that I can't handle all this. I don't want to burden them with one more thing because they're stressed out with work. But they've really got to bring awareness, because the burnout and the mental health is taking its toll.
The next step, you say, is to decide and divide.
Once you've talked about the load, it's time to share the load. Now this is going to look different for every situation in their family of what's going on. But for the partner who's maybe not taking the brunt of the worry load, rather than saying, just tell me what to do, a better approach is to say, wow, you're really overwhelmed, and I really want to help take some of this off of your plate. I didn't realize all this that you're going through. Can you give me some things? Can we talk about this? Can you share some of that load?
To that point, it might even be nice to hear. I mean, it might even be nice to hear, not that I'm coming at this from a personal perspective, like I can do this or I want to do this. Sometimes giving assignments doesn't feel, you know what I mean? Or
Yes.
it can be uncomfortable sometimes to like delegate or hand out those responsibilities, but a volunteer, that's always welcome.
It's nice. My wife and I actually had this conversation, Brooke, and we have 2 children now left at home.
Okay.
And so a daughter who's a senior, and she said, I'm going to oversee all of her and her cheer activities, but can you take on our son, he's a freshman,
Yeah.
with his football, his basketball, now he's doing track, and so I put all this schedule in. I oversee his schoolwork and homework and communication with teachers. So in that area, we were really able to kind of separate,
Yeah.
and I can take on the mental load of my son and my wife, our daughter.
Yeah, that divide and conquer can be a relief for sure. You say we can lighten the load with technology, which often, I'm so glad to hear the positive spin on this. Often we talk about how technology can be that wedge, right, or that communication deterrent. But you say this could help us in this way.
Yeah, technology can be wonderful. Of course, it can wind us down a different path. But there's so many apps, hey Siri, add this to my list, or hey Alexa, remind me for this appointment, or add Cheerios or peanut butter to my list. There's apps where you can actually share it with your partner, even get the kids involved, where you can check things off, you can put on there. I love actually auto orders. So we have our toilet paper, our dog food.
Oh yeah.
We have our paper towels
Yeah.
on order. We have our dish detergent and wash. So all of that just comes because we know about how often we use it.
Right.
So we take it out of here and put it onto a list. It's automatically taken care of and it
Yes.
arrives monthly.
It kind of goes back to, it becomes lighter as we share it. Mark and I use the notes feature. I mean,
Yep,
simple, basic.
perfect, basic.
On our phones all the time, we have several shared documents, and it just makes it feel a little more smooth and slick without that heaviness of a conversation. It's just happening. It's just happening. This is maybe another look in the mirror moment for women, but you're inviting us to let go of control.
This one can be really tough for a lot of women. This
Yeah.
comes actually down to an underlying need for safety. If I feel like I can do it, but I can do it right, I can do it the way I want to do it, I can do it when I want to do it, and I don't have to worry if my spouse or partner or if my kids are going to do it.
Or I'll say it, I can do it better, I can do it
Yeah.
faster.
Yes, and that's so true because you probably could. But if you want to get it out of here and divide some of this and give children responsibility
Yeah.
and not just take it all on, so let go of control and allow others to help.
And finally, you say the check-in. If you're a couple that's striving to maybe equalize the mental load in marriage, the check-in becomes a really valuable tool.
Yeah, this is not a one and done conversation. This is something that's ongoing. I like the question, what does your day look like tomorrow? What can we divide and conquer and tackle this? So it's an ongoing conversation. I encourage couples not to have it when they are hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, or necessarily late at night in bed, because then bed becomes this place where I feel attacked instead of welcome. And so, yes, that conversation needs to be ongoing, checking in, even a little text. Hey, can you pick up a half a gallon of milk or a loaf of bread on your way home from work?
Super smart. Dr. Dave, thank you so much. Where can we hear more from you, sir?
Yeah, our website, strongermarriage.org, for our podcasts and all kinds of relationship tips.
You're doing good. Thank you for bringing this topic to the forefront and giving us some actionable solutions. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.